It's midday in Nigeria and you're welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. But first, here are the headlines. Supreme Court upholds the decision of the Court of Appeal which affirms Governor Peter Mba as the duly elected governor of Enugu State. More solidarity marches in Rivers State where students, labor unions, traders and others show support for Governor For Fubara. No Christmas holidays for you. That's from the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, to members of the National Economic Council. He wants them to use the period to deliver on President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. The legal battle to justify his claim to the seat of the governor of Enugu State, as the Supreme Court has affirmed the victory of Mr. Peter Mba. Now, the Apex Court resolved all the issues in his favor and upholds the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which affirmed the election of Mr. Peter Mba as the duly elected governor of Enugu State. A 5-member panel led by Justice Mohammed Garba held that the Labour Party and its candidate failed to prove the allegations of substantial non-compliance with the electoral law. The court also dismissed the allegation of the NYSC certificate forgery, one of the bases for which the Labour Party governorship candidate wanted the court to disqualify Governor Peter Mba. Of course, you see them on the streets of Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, where members of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the NLC, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, traders and other groups take to the streets to rally their support for the Rivers State Governor, Mr. For Fubara. In a carnival-like procession, the supporters marched through the streets before terminating their march at the gate of the government house. According to the leaders of the march, it is their way of telling Mr. Fubara that they are behind him as the helmsman of the oil-rich state. They also commend him for what they describe as the right set of steps in moving the state forward. This march may not be unconnected with the political crisis rocking the state, with each day coming with different variants of drama since the crisis began. The People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has accused the All Progressives Congress, the APC, of plans to impose a one-party state in Nigeria and therefore working to decimate opposition. This allegation is part of the outcome of the party's National Working Committee emergency meeting. In a statement signed by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Honorable Debo Olugwagwa, the PDP promised to resist such efforts by the ruling party and its agents, which it alleges are on the mission of destabilizing the party. The party also assures its members of handling the political crisis in Rivers State. Well, the PDP says its interventions are already yielding the desired results. Days after the People's Democratic Party vowed to take disciplinary action against the former governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, at the appropriate time, elder statesman and leader of the Yoruba socio-cultural group Afenifere is calling the bluff of the party. Pa Ayodebanjo alleges that the party leadership lacks the moral right to discipline Eri members since it needs to put its house in order. He was speaking on the sidelines of the Obafemi Awolowo Prize for Leadership event in Lagos.
When the party leadership itself is not disciplined, what are they going to discipline? Most of them were already quarreling about their leadership among themselves. If they are accusing each other of corruption, what discipline are they going to impart? It is the use who must change his game. So that is why when I was supporting talking of tribalism, all these people are rogues. And I told them.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has charged members of the National Economic Council to shelve the idea of vacation in the Yuletide and carry on with issues of governance to ease the burden of Nigerians hanging on their shoulders. Speaking on Thursday during the 138th meeting of the NEC, which held virtually, the Vice President said his principal, President Bola Tinubu, has shown that the challenges inherited by his administration are surmountable and has offered visionary leadership and presented a coherent development plan to assist in the country's pursuit of order, abundance and stability. According to the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Stanley Kwocha, the Vice President stressed the need for citizens to feel the positive impact of the fuel subsidy removal and forex unification, noting that high inflation and cost of living are global challenges that have already affected the economies of many countries. Now, the Council also set up committees on economic affairs as well as the Committee on Crude Oil Theft and Management. The excess crude account as at 31st of October this year, according to the Vice President, stood at over $473,000, while the stabilization account was over 32 billion naira. In just over a week, or a little over a week, after taking over the acting capacity as the governor of Ondo State, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa may be having more to contend with, as some members of his party have accused him to undermining his principle. Now, a chieftain of the party in the state, Mr. Sholaji Shafe, is accusing the acting governor of plans to reshuffle the State Executive Council to bring in more of his supporters. According to him, there are plans in place for redeployment and transfers. He listed some of those to be affected by the reshuffling, to include the secretary to the state government, Mrs. Oladunni Odu, who may resume at the Ministry of Commerce, while the Commissioner for Finance, Wale Akintarewa, may be moved to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Well, the APC chieftain also accused the acting governor of sponsoring protests, calling for the resignation of the governor, that's Rotimi Akeredolu, over his ill health. All right, so we'll be beaming our searchlight on the situation, the political situation in, of course, in Ondo State, and I'm being joined by our guest on the program, Mr. Abiola Oshodi, who is APC chieftain in Ondo State. He joins us from Canada, in Toronto, to be precise. Great to have you on the program, Lunchtime Politics. Now, if you can hear me, what are your thoughts on the handling of the state of affairs by the acting governor, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa? Are you concerned that the ongoing crisis may have consequences for your party, the APC, in Ondo State?
Well, let me seize this opportunity to congratulate the people of Ondo State for safely transitioning from the imbroglio that has characterized the state politically over the state of health of our able governor, Governor Akeredolu, popularly called Aketi. Also seizing this opportunity to continue to pray for good health for him and that he will recover sufficiently to be able to complete his tenure. And I think this is the first time Ondo State will be saddled with this kind of political situation whereby a sitting governor is ill and unable to continue governance, and that to transfer power to his deputy for a substantial length of time. He's done that before, but usually maybe for 2-3 weeks or thereabouts, or maybe a couple of months. But this one has been substantially prolonged, so it took its toll on the state until recently, when the president was able to midwife a kind of political solution to what we have now. And congratulations to the acting governor, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Is saddled with a unique responsibility to reposition the state while Arakuri recuperates, and he has to seize this opportunity to create a legacy and govern Ondo State very well and act very well the way he's never acted before.
All right, so indeed you've been following the ongoing political leadership crisis in Ondo State. Don't you think the situation can or will affect the party's chances in next year's election, that's in 2024, judging by the results of 2016 and, of course, in 2020, where the margin of lead was within 70 and 90,000 votes respectively? And your political opponents may be determined to close that gap this time around, come 2024.
The crisis itself, when you look at it deeply, it arises out of multiple political interests trying to position themselves ahead of the election. And that's why what ought to be straightforward transmission of power to the deputy governor to be acting, the political gladiators made it a big deal and nearly created a huge crisis. Having said that, I think we've passed that stage whereby the acting governor is now, or rather the deputy governor is now fully acting. And now is the time to close ranks with everybody and forget the past and reposition the state and reposition the party. Everybody, we are all one family, and if everything is done properly, including at the state and at the federal, I don't see the reason why we cannot win the forthcoming gubernatorial election. Though the primary comes first, I think around April. So if we select the best candidate for the primaries, we have sufficient time to close ranks and mobilize our voters and win the next election.
All right, now, and of course, I understand that being a chieftain of the party, you have your, of course, your positive mindset and your thoughts, of course, for the party to really do well in the elections. But in all of this internal wrangling that we're seeing, it will appear that the people themselves, the public in Ondo State are perhaps bearing the heavy brunt as we speak. And well, you may say they're not actually receiving the benefits of good governance even at this point in time. How confident are you that the crisis in the party won't sway the minds of the electorate against the APC when elections come around in 2024?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was sufficiently concerned when the crisis was brewing and there seemed to be no solution in sight. Like I said, what the people of Ondo State wants, it's good governance. And once that crisis has been resolved, now is the time for the acting governor to exercise the powers, that has been conferred on him as the acting governor. He's done fantastically well in some areas. I heard that the December salaries has been paid to all civil servants, and that is double the subvention to the only institution in my constituency, which is our Poly. Amongst other great achievements that is being able to drive in the few days that is officially taken over as the acting governor. So I think there's sufficient time, though, to deliver the dividends of democracy to the people so that the rough treatment that they've had in the last few months during that power tussle can be quickly forgotten before the election take place next year. There's still a lot of room, for the acting governor to assert itself and ensure that the party is, placed in an advantageous position to win the election again. The event that happened was quite unfortunate. Nobody expected our able governor, Akeredolu, to fall sick the way he did. And for such a prolonged period of time was quite unfortunate. And I think our people are quite understanding too that he didn't decree the illness upon himself. As human beings, we are vulnerable at any point in time, to some unpredictabilities of nature, which can affect our health. All we can do at this time is just to wish him quick recovery, and also wish the acting governor all the best while he tries to reposition the state and actualize the program initiated by Akeredolu that will bring a succor and a good governance to the people of Ondo State.
All right. So, of course, you talked earlier about the political situation that was or shall I say the political solution, rather, I beg your pardon, that was brokered by the president in the midst of all of the crisis that we're seeing. But tell us exactly, what do you think the APC will have as its strategy, going into the elections in 2024? And of course, do you see a situation where perhaps the APC at the national level may have to come in again, to really take a look at what's happening in Ondo State?
Yeah, I think the most important strategy is to provide a good governance, over the next few months, and the twin effects of petroleum subsidy removal and the reform of the foreign exchange has had, very negative impact on Nigerians, not just in Ondo State. So I think over the next few months, if the acting governor can mobilize resources to tackle a lot of the challenges that is facing an Ondo State indigene, I think it will put us in very, very good light when it's time to decide who governs the state and takes over from Akeredolu. And don't get me wrong, until now, I think the administration was doing very, very well in the state. And all the acting governor needs to do is just to remain focused and and lead and act very, very well in a way that it will create legacy for himself, for the period he will be acting. I think if we can do that and select the best amongst the lot that will be jostling for the seat of the governor, then I think we stand a good chance of winning the election. And I think what probably also play to APC's advantage strategically is that the oppositions are uncoordinated as it is in Ondo State, and it shouldn't be a problem for the APC if all hands are on deck and we are not fighting internally to win the election in Ondo State. I'm quite positive that if the right strategies, if the right ingredients, political ingredients are put together, I don't think we should have anything to worry about.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Dr. Abiola Oshodi, thank you so much for your time on the program Lunchtime Politics. We do appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll go on this break, and when we come back, we have more stories, and of course, it's off to Benue State to see what exactly is the situation between the lawmakers within the caucus of the APC and, of course, the Benue State Governor, Hyacinth Alia. Join us again. Welcome back. It's still watching Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. Federal lawmakers elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, the APC from Benue State, have carpeted Governor Hyacinth Alia over what they call or consider as anti-party activities, high-handedness, corrupt tendencies, and running a one-man show. Well, the Benue State Caucus in the National Assembly stated their observation during a media briefing in Abuja, where they called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene.
Gathered here are senators and members of the House of Representatives elected under the platform of the All Progressives Congress, as well as members of the Fourth Estate of the realm.
May I, at this juncture,
the lawmakers have a bone to pick with Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State.
Having watched with apprehension the absence of democratic leadership in Benue State in the last 6 months, exemplified by the arrogant and egocentric conduct of Governor Hyacinth Alia, we have decided to draw the attention of Mr. President and other leaders of APC in Nigeria to seek their immediate intervention before the fortunes of APC in Benue State are totally destroyed by the Benue State Governor. It is necessary to state from the onset that we have collectively and individually drawn the attention of the leader of APC in Benue State, Senator Dr. George Akumen, who is now the Secretary to Government of the Federation, and who has on several occasions pleaded for patience from us in the anticipation of a possible change of attitude from His Excellency Governor Hyacinth Alia.
They are also questioning the governance style of the governor.
Of the state, we have not had it this bad under the current leadership of Father Hyacinth Alia. It is on this note, I want to say it is a crying shame that Benue State has become the personal property of one man who allocates government positions to his family members and friends. A man whose calling as a priest is to preach unity, fairness, and equity. Governor Hyacinth Alia has, instead of uniting the state and making it an example as a man of God that he should be and expected to be, has elevated nepotism and hatred against the Idoma-speaking people of Benue State to a statecraft and made corruption an instrument to be glorified.
The lawmakers say they have exhausted all avenues to see the governor, which has failed to yield any results.
The governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, has reiterated his commitment to meeting up with the yearnings and aspirations of the people of the state. The governor made this known shortly after his return to Yola, the state capital, after the ruling of the appeal court sitting in Abuja, reaffirming him as the governor of the state. He says the verdict of the appeal court is a victory for the people of Adamawa who voted for him for a second term during the 2023 elections.
We got the victory in the Court of Appeal, affirming what the good people of Adamawa have believed in, have voted in March this year. This will spur us more to do the usual excellent work that we're doing for our people. We're going to do better. We're going to meet up with the expectation of our people, and we'll ensure that we take Adamawa to the greatest height.
In reaction to the governor's victory by residents who say the victory is indeed for all residents of the state. They expressed confidence in Governor Umaru Fintiri to paddle the affairs of Adamawa State to the benefit of everyone.
The victory of His Excellency at the polls was overwhelming. So the ruling yesterday was expected because His Excellency won the election wholeheartedly, and therefore we didn't exercise any fear at all.
Everybody live in the state, no matter the trap you are, leave politics aside now. Let's go to governments, and then let's all of us support Fintiri in the next 4 years so that it can give us more dividend on democracy as we have already in the last 4 years. We can see it, we can smell it. Even the blank can touch what Ondo Fintiri is doing in Adamawa State.
President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, where he was received by the state governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and other members of his cabinet at the presidential wing of the Murtala International Airport in Ikeja, Lagos. The president, who is in the nation's commercial nerve center for the Christmas and New Year celebrations, arrived to a rousing welcome by party supporters, after which he boarded the presidential helicopter heading out to Dorden Barracks in Obalende. And that's a wrap on the program, Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balo.